Arise, Arisen, for I, Eurogamer's Ian Higton, have just finished a mighty feast of meat and patats, and I have just washed it down with a 1 hour-long playthrough of a Dragon's Dogma 2 demo. But because I'm me, you won't see the same old footage of people playing this game like it was supposed to be played in this video, you know, like other outlets have probably already posted. No. Because I played Dragon's Dogma 2 in my traditional chaotic Ian manner, and so I guarantee you that you are going to see some very stupid stuff in this video. 7 very stupid stuff to be precise. During my hands-on, I got to try out early portions of the game with the Fighter, Thief and Archer vocations, and you'll see footage from all 3 of those classes in the following video, which is called 7 Stupid Things That You Can Do in Dragon's Dogma 2. Enjoy! Oh, it was empty. Barkeep, mine throat is parched. Please furnish me with more ale, sir. Sir?
It's taking everything would have us press on without delay. Try your will of it.
The first stupid point on this list isn't technically that stupid, and to be fair, like a lot of the other points in this list, it is a genuine preview of the game, wrapped up in a stupid bow, because stupid is still the theme of the video. So, the first stupid thing that you can do in Dragon's Dogma 2 is to go into the game expecting it to feel massively different from Dragon's Dogma or Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Especially seeing as, by the time Dragon's Dogma 2 releases, hopefully sometime in early 2024, there will have been around a 12-year gap between it and the original game. So you'd totally be forgiven for expecting there to have been a huge evolution in terms of both gameplay and graphics, when really from the early snippet of gameplay that I experienced, it didn't actually feel that way to me. While the graphics in Dragon's Dogma 2 have improved quite substantially, as is evident from this gameplay footage that shows an open world that's way more dense in terms of flora and fauna than the original, the actual look and style of the presentation is fairly similar to that of the first game. It even has that kind of grey-green-brown colour palette that was used in almost every game that was released in the early 2010s. It's certainly nowhere near as gorgeous and glossy to look at as, say, Elden Ring, which has a similar open-world RPG vibe to it, and while, yes, this was a pre-release build, so things could easily improve between now and release, it did suffer a bit performance-wise on PS5, with what felt to me like big frame rate drops during busy battles. I also witnessed a variety of weird NPC and enemy bugs and glitches that were generally from the funny stroke meme-worthy side of things, rather than anything game-ruining or breaking. But again, bear in mind this was a pre-release build, so that could all be polished out before release. But the original game was so rough around the edges in places that seeing these kind of things in Dragon's Dogma 2 actually kind of felt in keeping with the series. It felt a little bit like playing a chaos simulator where you're wandering around this living world, constantly being attacked by a variety of mythical beasties and shouted at by random NPCs, all while your 3 AI pawns run around doing 50% helpful stuff and 50% wacky stuff as they chatter incessantly with you and each other. It felt in parts sloppy and confusing, and in other parts familiar and, quite frankly, very entertaining. It was almost like putting a bomb under a nicely laid out set of dominoes. I would approach a situation where I thought everything was going to go one way, and then boom! Utter pandemonium. And I'm honestly not saying that as a bad thing. I loved how unpredictable each encounter was, and it kept the basic go here, kill these monsters quest lines that I was offered feeling fresh and full of laughs and surprises. One big and highly appreciated improvement that has been made to Dragon's Dogma 2, however, was the seamless movement around its open world map that is said to be 4 times the size of that from the original game. It was really nice to be able to enter and leave villages and encampments through the front gates and not have to face a loading screen at any time. So big well dones to Capcom for that one, because that decision certainly wasn't stupid.
You're welcome to take whatever you like from my pack, Master. I'd gladly see...
We've got goblins.
We ought to proceed with caution.
My aim is true.
Now, I think, generally speaking, climbing up a dragon is a pretty stupid idea, unless you're like, I don't know, in a kid's movie about training dragons, or you're a dragon rider in Game of Thrones or something. But near the start of Dragon's Dogma 2, you can do just that, even though I suspect you're probably not really supposed to. As part of an early mission, you'll need to make your way through an encampment and along a winding path that leads you through rocky crevices and lush woodland all the way to a ruined stronghold called Melve, which had recently been razed by a dragon's fire. Upon entering the stronghold, your character then starts having a bit of a funny turn, followed by a flashback that puts them in their pre-Arisen form and plonks them in front of a vicious, fire-breathing dragon. Which I then decided to run towards because, I don't know, why not? Sue me. Now, at this point, the game was literally yelling at me to pull back.
Pull back!
See? But no one tells Ian what to do, so I pushed on through the fire and flames and hoisted my way up the dragon's leg and made my way towards its head, before I was unceremoniously booted out of the gameplay and into a cutscene where, confusingly, I was now once again standing on the floor in front of the dragon with no sign that I'd ever tried to scale its scales in the first place. Stupid? Yeah, kinda. An excuse for me to show you a cool cutscene with a big dragon in it that shows you the origins of how your character became an Arisen? Most definitely.
This moment forth, thou art arisen, charge and all.
Can you hear me, sir? Sir, stay with me.
This way, if you please. A gift of fire! Mind you don't burn your fingers. A Griffin, Master!
If someone were to say to you, hey buddy, you can climb up the side of a griffin and ride it in Dragon's Dogma 2, chances are you wouldn't say that was stupid, you'd probably say that was cool as all hell. And you'd be right, it is cool. But it's also a pretty stupid thing to do if you're not really prepared for what happens next. Which is what happened to me. You see, in Dragon's Dogma 2, just like in the original game, you can clamber all over the giant enemies like a big four-legged spider made out of man meat and position yourself over their weak points, such as their heads, in order to deliver more damage. That's the cool bit. The stupid bit, however, is not watching your stamina bar, which dictates how long you can stay holding onto said creature. Now, normally, once you run out of stamina, you'd fall to the floor, be out of breath for a bit, and then climb back on again for round 2. But the thing about Griffins is that Griffins can fly, and if you forget about your stamina when you're up in the air, well, that's when things are gonna get very stupid indeed. Especially considering how high these feathery little fools can go. There is a way to negate the stupidity of riding a griffin when you're out of puff though, and that is to pause the game, go into your inventory and wolf down a couple of stamina recovery items, like these ripe harspuds here. Slide those down your pie hole and you'll be able to get your grip on all over again. Unless you do what I did and forget to hold down the grab button before you come out of the menu again. Whee! Oh, and just like in the first game, deep water equals insta-death. Stupid.
French day. Oh, can't say I envy you.
I bloody loved throwing stuff in Dragon's Dogma 2. With the grab button, you can pick up rocks and throw them from up high to brain enemies down below you.
Strike with the power of lightning.
You can pick up dead bodies and chuck them off of cliffs for Hitman-style body disposal shenanigans, and hell, you can even pick up slightly injured living enemies and then throw them at their mates for massive damage. Like it's a seriously legit strategy that resulted in a fair few one-hit kills for me. So not only is it quite funny to see all these corpses ragdolling through the air, it's also an incredibly useful tactic too. One thing I couldn't do, however, was punt my pawns off a cliff. As you can see here, they're impervious to a good shoeing, which I guess is pretty sensible. The stupid part in this entry then actually comes from throwing myself off of things. This had absolutely no benefit to my gameplay at all, and it could often be fatal, but honestly, after I did it by accident just once, I found the faceplant animation so funny that I just couldn't help but keep on doing it. Arisen? More like, I've fallen and I can't get up. As I mentioned before, the living open world of Dragon's Dogma 2 can be a bit of a chaos simulator. But, if done correctly, like in this official Dragon's Dogma 2 gameplay deep dive trailer here, you can use the environment to your advantage. One quick toss and voila! You've got a proper soggy cyclops. Oh, that sounded weird. So where does the stupid come in then, Ian? I'm sure you're wondering. Well, that comes from misjudging the battlefield around you, which in turn leads the enemy you're fighting to be able to use the environment against you. Or, in the case of the battle that I had with a cyclops, against me. You see, the fight was going quite well until a couple of saurians turned up out of nowhere, which took my attention away from the cyclops and allowed it to smoosh me with its club. A cheeky heal from my mage pawn Max sorted me right out after that, and then a bit of expert rock tossing from my thief pawn Sarah sent a saurian flying through the air and into the back of the cyclops, pushing it forward onto its knees where it landed on a thin bridge. Obviously a bit confused by things, the cyclops then launched itself in the air and came down butt first onto one of its saurian pals, killing them outright. Wonderful, I thought. Now, while it's racked with guilt, I'll just climb up its saurian-stained arse and get back to work stabbing it in the head. Foolproof plan, I thought. Until this happened.
We could break on the tusk.
Yep, turns out that while I forgot that water killed you in Dragon's Dogma 2, this cyclops hadn't. What a way to go indeed. That cyclops was like, I'm not letting you kill me, I am taking you with me, son. Now, I'm sure I can be forgiven for being a little bit angry with bridges at this point, you know, considering the stupid thing that just happened to me. So, the next time I saw one, I decided to beat the crap out of it. And what do you know? You can take down a whole bridge like this. Fun! But wait! I've lost my only means of getting back across the river again unless I now go on a 10-mile hike across enemy-filled terrain at night time. Oh, stupid! But honestly, that was nowhere near as stupid as when I decided to attack the bridge while my pawn Max was standing on it. Just look at the stupid that happens next.
Right. Scatter the goblins!
Feast your eyes on this! Just a short.
Honestly, no wonder most of the pawns in Gransys don't want to hang out with me. But, on the plus side, next time I see enemies crossing a bridge, that's going to be a very good tactic for taking them all out in one fell swoop.
Goodness, we're higher up than I'd thought.
Take care not to fall.
We need not shrink from danger. We've the strength to prevail over anything.
Even though the pawns in Dragon's Dogma 2 never bloody shut up, and even though it'll be really tempting to mute them in the game, which I presume you can do, but I forgot to check, sorry, you really shouldn't ignore your pawns.
Would you mind coming over here?
As I recall, we have another matter to attend to in this domain.
It is worth considering if we've the time.
While they are chattier than a television evangelist on amphetamines and do basically the same things they did in Dragon's Dogma the First, in this sequel they are way more reliable as companions. They're more effective in combat, they're good at knowing exactly when to heal your wounds, and if you get a little bit lost in a dark, dank dungeon, you can ask them to show you where to go, and then you can follow them as they leg it off in the direction of your goal. What's super interesting about the pawns in this game, though, is that if they get summoned to another player's world and do a quest with them that you haven't done yet, once they come back to you, they'll have knowledge of said quest and be able to give you advice and directions that they wouldn't have had originally.
The fiend unknown is the most perilous.
We'll manage whatever comes. We always do, don't we?
So, ignore your pawns at your peril, because doing so is stupid.
A welcome boon, this very stone. It can send us to our destination in the blink of an eye.
And that's your lot, friendos. I hope you found this video entertaining as well as informative. I may not have played Dragon's Dogma 2 like a pro, but I still had a very good time with it, despite any massive changes to the formula. And I think this looks promising for series fans and newcomers alike. Let me know if you're excited for Dragon's Dogma 2 in the comments below. Do like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Eurogamer for daily videos about video games. And if you fancy any more stupid in your life, why not click on one of these other videos that are on screen and clickable right now, while I sit here nice and quietly and patiently and wait for this video to finish. Goodbye.